Hey guys, it's Stephen here, back with another video. I'm doing a little series before the season starts. As you can see, I've got a United fan next to me for my sins there, Jay from Full Time Devils. But before I introduce Jay properly and all that kind of stuff, I want to say as ever, thank you to OneFootball for sponsoring this channel. It's a dead good app, I promise you, absolutely loads. Go and download it in the link in the description. It gives you loads of transfer updates, loads of news about whoever you support, be it United, be it Man City, probably Man City, let's be honest, and all that kind of stuff. Go and download it in the link in the description below. But we're going to talk a lot today about Manchester United because Jay's here. Jay did a show with an ex Manchester for a while last season. He's a good lad for a red. Are you alright, Jay? How you doing?
I'm alright. I'll say that as a compliment. I'm having that one. I'll have it.
Are you alright, man? Anyway, you good?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm actually enjoying the bit where there's no football.
See, I usually enjoy the bit where there is football.
Yeah,
some of the transfer
that.
stuff drives me mad. But anyway, basically today we're going to just run through how things are shaping up for United, and we're going to do stuff about looking forward. I'll do videos with other fans of other teams as well. But today it's Manchester United's turn and Jay's turn in the spotlight. So we're going to start with a bit that everyone's been talking about for the past few months: the transfer window. Jay, not quickly, just take as much time as you want. Has it been a good transfer window for Manchester United Football Club?
So far, it's been so-so, I think. I mean, we got Daniel James done fairly quickly. That's, a fringe player, a young player who hopefully can have an impact on the first team, but he isn't, 15 million quid, I think. He's not the sort of player that's going to come in and make us title challengers. Yeah. But it makes sense. It's a step in the right direction, in my opinion, bringing in young players and trying to nurture them a little bit. Wan-Bissaka was a signing that I've been calling out for about...
I remember you loving him. Yeah,
oh, mate, definitely. Two reasons for that. One, we're overly reliant on Ashley Young at right back, who's a 33-year-old converted winger. and two, I rate Wan-Bissaka. I think he's a very good player, very good defensively, and also only briefly since he's been at United, we've already seen what he can do going forward as well. So I just think he fits in, and it gives us a better sort of balance with Shaw on the left and him on the right. It's not perfect because I still think there's question marks over Luke Shaw, but it's a lot better than what it was previous seasons.
Yeah, he looks good, doesn't he?
True.
He's just a good player. I mean, regardless of my blue tinted specs, it's clearly. I mean, I'm not sure how much it'll make a difference, but they're two good signings, and no one could deny that, really.
Yeah, I think, like I said, the solid sort of signings. Wan-Bissaka was much needed. Daniel James, a player that it makes sense, but
it's cheap as well, so it's not a risk, is it?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. If Daniel James, for whatever reason, doesn't work out, you're not going to lose too much sleep over an £18 million outlay.
And someone would probably buy him for 10-15 million anyway off you. So
yeah, exactly. So. He's only young. I mean, you'll know him from the Swansea game.
Yeah, he was good.
He looked good. So hopefully there's something in that.
This is a compliment, and I mean, look, you're going to recoil in horror from this, but he actually reminds me of a young Jesus Navas. And he actually, Navas, when he came to City, was a flying winger who created chances, and ran past people, and he was very direct, and he was fun to watch. Then obviously he got old, lost his pace and that kind of stuff, but people forget Navas was a World Cup winner and a thingy winner. If he has the career that Navas has, you've got a bargain, because he was genuinely very useful to City for a couple of years. So I love an old-fashioned winger, and he seems to be very exciting, doesn't he?
He does, and we've had these sort of wingers recently, and I think this is across football, not just at United, where they're sort of what you'd call the old school inside forwards, aren't they? They're not wingers, they're not strikers. They're sort of in between your Anthony Martials, some would argue your Marcus Rashfords.
It's where the number 10 roles disappeared, so it's where they've been put, isn't it, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, and you're sort of in between that bit, aren't you? Where he seems more likely to sort of go wide and try and whip one in rather than always cutting in. I mean, I know he can do a bit of both.
Yeah.
So he's like you say, I mean, he's an old school type Manchester United winger. So you're happy with that one, happy with Wan-Bissaka, but it's more a case of now of who we've not got in.
Is there anyone else on the... I've seen some links of Fernandes, Maguire's a strong one still. Anyone going to leave as well, potentially?
I think going out-wise, it looks like Lukaku, but that's not nailed on because United are digging the heels in a little bit, and I get this. A lot of United fans are just saying, take 50 million quid for him, get rid of him. He wants to go Inter. It's a decent price. Inter want him, just get rid. But I don't think we should. I think, regardless of the sort of inconsistent season, especially last season, that Lukaku had, he's 26 years old. He scored over 110 Premier League goals at the age of 26. Goal scorers don't grow on trees. And I'm confident that if he goes to Serie A, he'll bang in 15, 20 goals.
Yeah.
We should be trying to get at least nearly all of our money back. We paid 75 million quid for him. So I get why United are saying, hang on a minute, if you want him, you pay the money for him. So I understand that. So he's probably, that deal will happen. The Fernandes one, he's been linked with us. I think he's been linked with you guys as well.
It feels like his agent's touring him about a little bit, doesn't it? He's good for what I can tell, really good, but it feels definitely very much agent-led push this.
100%. Trying to get United and City and Liverpool involved in some sort of bidding war. I think he scored 30 goals last season from midfield. Decent player, 24 years old, so he's still got about 7 or 8 years left in him. I'm not so sure about this one because Paul Pogba doesn't look like he's going anywhere. Yeah. I don't know if United's priority is an attacking midfielder. I don't know if that's going to happen, to be honest with you. I think the fact that Paul Pogba isn't likely to go anywhere this summer, the fact that we've got some young midfielders coming in, we've got McTominay, who's a more defensive midfielder, Andre Pereira, he's been performing in pre-season. Yeah. Throwing Fred into the mix, I just don't know if an attacking midfielder is United's priority.
Whereas a centre-back?
Maguire, 100%, mate. Yeah. And, listen, this will remind you a little bit of a few years ago, not to this extent, but a little bit of when City sort of got the big investment and the money coming in, you paid a little bit more for some players because you weren't in the Champions League and you were just willing to pay it.
Yeah, we did, definitely. Likes of Gareth Barry and Kolo Touré and Adebayor and stuff like that. And then, I guess, the likes of David Silva was a bargain looking back, but some players we definitely overpaid for. We paid a City premium, which was known at the time.
Yeah, well, that's where we're at now, and people will grumble and say 80 million quid. Of course, Harry Maguire's not worth 80 million quid because no one is. But that's what we're going to have to pay, and we need a centre back. We don't just need a centre back who can defend and all the rest of it. We need someone who's a bit of a leader and who can carry the ball out of defence. Yeah. Now, I don't know if you saw. Well, I know you saw the game. It's a silly question. Did you see the Leicester game at the Etihad? Of course, you did.
He was, and I said on the video at the time, he pissed me off that game because he was good. he wouldn't give him and Johnny Evans actually, and to be fair, Leicester's defence. Brendan Rodgers, I think he's a knobhead, but he's good at managing sometimes. I think in general, what annoyed me because we needed the goal so much, they just weren't giving the ball away, and they were genuinely press resistant, and that annoyed me. And I'm almost certainly annoyed and impressed Guardiola as well in equal measure that day. And I think Maguire, he obviously isn't worth that money, but I do think he's a good defender. I can't deny that. I think he is a solid player, and I wouldn't be upset if he was on our squad, put it that way.
Exactly, and the thing is, you think, I've seen him against United, I've seen him against City. The World Cup I don't really count because against Panama and Tunisia and all the rest of it, he gives a shit. Do you know what I mean? If we're being honest.
Yeah.
But I saw him at Anfield, he got man of the match, and he was outstanding. And what he does at Maguire, which is what I like, and what we're missing, is someone who can carry the ball out of defence. And I think when you've got that player in your defence who can do that, it frees up the midfielders a little bit because far too often we see Paul Pogba dropping into our defence to pick the ball up, and it's a waste of his time and his talents, and it causes more problems than it solves. So for me, Maguire's worth to us the money that he's going to cost. Yeah. Get the deal done. If we just get Maguire, it's not a great transfer window, but it's not a terrible one. If we don't get Maguire, it's not good enough, and we're going to struggle.
So, do you think going into the season, do you feel like you're stronger or weaker than you were last season? How do you feel about that?
I think at the moment we're probably, I'd say we're about even at the moment. We've lost Herrera, who was an important part of our midfield. We've brought in Wan-Bissaka, who's going to add something. Daniel James, I don't really think that counts too much because he's probably going to be a squad player.
Yeah.
So if we get Maguire, definitely stronger. If we don't, I'd probably say you could argue we're a little bit weaker, especially if Lukaku goes and we don't replace him, because my thinking is that Lukaku will go and we probably won't bring anyone in to replace him. I think we might put a bit more faith in Greenwood, which, is a bit of a gamble. He's only 17, but I think...
I'm the same with these academy, but you see him in pre-season, you get really hyped, and then reality is he is good if I know what I know of him. Reality, a competitive Premier League game is worlds apart, isn't it? It's one of those things where you're he's definitely not worth relying on Greenwood, but just hoping, you got to be realistic, haven't you, with these academy players?
Exactly. We've seen him once in the Premier League against Cardiff. To be fair to him, he's probably our best player. Not that would say much because we were dreadful. But he's banged in 30 and 30 at the academy and junior levels. He can score. Yeah. He is good. I think he's probably, if we're being honest, at least 2 seasons away from, the trouble in the first team. But in the Europa League, in the League Cup,
definitely.
Why not? Do you know what I mean? And if playing him in them competitions frees up Martial and Marcus Rashford to just focus on the league, then I think that works.
So do you think, in general, how do you think you're going to do this season? Do you think Solskjaer will he? Because he had a bad run at the end of the season. Obviously terrible. Time's a healer as well, and pre-season transfers, everything's optimistic. It's always the way it is in pre-season. Do you think he's going to put that behind him? How do you think, in general, this season United are going to do? Where do you expect United going to finish? Basically, a few questions there, but just broad.
No. So, you make a fair point. The end of last season was shocking. Now, the hope and the sort of party line, if you will, coming from United is that the reason United fell off at the end of last season was because of fatigue. We weren't fit enough. We didn't have a good enough pre-season. They had the World Cup and all the rest of it. Ole came in and tried to alter the style to a more high-pressing type of system, which for 3 months worked great. We won a record-breaking number of games. We had that night in Paris and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
And then the players just got knackered and the wheels completely came off. So with the right pre-season, which it looks like they're having so far, but I know pre-season doesn't tell you everything, making the right sort of noises, hopefully we can play the system that Ole wants to play in the high press, and we can have that level of intensity that, you know, we see at the likes of yourselves at Liverpool as well.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, I think it's going to be a bit of a struggle to get top 4. I think it's touch and go. My hope is
it's open. It's open the top 4.
With Chelsea's transfer ban.
Yeah.
It's open.
And Arsenal being Arsenal.
Arsenal just...
I think Spurs are a good shout for it. I think they've got a strong shout, Spurs.
They brought in the other lad and Dembele.
Yeah, and Dembele, and they're looking at Dybala, according to cover rumors, you know, looks like Spurs are going to be strong.
He's a good player. He's a good player. He's a good striker, and he could also play in other positions as well. And also, they've got that bit of a buzz, haven't they, from getting in the Champions League final. They're in a new stadium. There might be that sort of element of this. I know. I mean, I'm not saying this is their season in terms of going to win the league. I don't think that'll ever happen.
There's positivity, isn't there, in general? Around Spurs.
Because last season they didn't even buy anyone, did they?
No.
And it was like, what's going on? Pochettino was rumoured to be leaving every other week. Now he seems a bit more settled.
Yeah.
So they're probably not. I think they're nailed on for 3rd, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, same.
But that 4th spot is up for grabs. You know, my heart says we can do it. My heart says it's going to be difficult. And I think this sounds crackers, and people will be hounding me. United fans will be like, you're too negative. But you've got to look over your shoulder a little bit. It seems like Everton, for example, there's talk of them getting Zaha. They've got a few good players in there anyway. Leicester,
they're my dark horse.
They're not a bad team, Leicester. It's easy to dismiss them and say, they're a load of shit. Well, but they're not.
Brendan Rodgers, as I said before, I think he's very talented. But their form, was at the end of the season, last 10, 15 games, they're 3rd best form or something like that.
I mean, you go back to that game in Etihad.
Good, honestly.
Kompany doesn't pull that out of the bag. You know,
we're drawing probably,
yeah. You got a good point at Anfield as well when Liverpool needed a win desperately. So this isn't a team that's poor.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you look at that team, I'd probably take 4 or 5 of their players.
The fullbacks, is it Pereira and Chilwell? Pereira. Then you've got Tielemans, he's fucking great. Madison's pretty good, you know. Hamza Chowdhury, that young lad, looks really good as well. And then they signed Ayoze Perez at Newcastle, who's had he's had no support in Newcastle, but he's a good player. Perez, he's the kind of guy who probably get 20 plus goals now in a better team. And then, you know, they're just a good team. I like Leicester a lot, and
yeah. And you know, when people when Ole mentioned that towards the end of last season, you got to look over your shoulder. A lot of United fans were going berserk and saying, you know, ridiculous. We shouldn't be looking at teams like Leicester and Everton, and all the rest of it. But you've got to be honest. If we don't get, especially if we don't get Maguire, I think we are in a bit of trouble. And I think it'll be a real struggle for us to compete in the cups, cope with the Europa League. Because even if you play your fringe players, you still got to put a team out and go for top 4. So it's paper thin, I think, between 5th and 4th. I think we can get it, but I think we do need Maguire. That would be such a big signing for us. Okay. I'm not saying it's exactly the same, but it would be similar to what Liverpool got when they got Van Dijk.
Yeah.
Just that big difference of a leader at the back who can sort of organise people and carry the ball out of defence.
That's fair, totally. And I'm going to ask everyone this in terms of opposition things. Finally, just what's your take on City for this season coming out? Do you think City will get on, all that kind of stuff? Do you think there'll be a let-up or anything like that, or do you think it's going to be business as usual?
It's difficult to say it because last season it was so close, that the title winning race. And I wonder with City now, obviously you want 3 in a row. I know from yourself and other City fans I've spoke to, they've said to me, United did 3 in a row, we want to do 3 in a row.
100%.
We want to that would really cement us as one of the Premier League's greatest ever. But I still think that Pep's got that thing of the Champions League. And will it come down to that?
There was a clip. You probably haven't seen it because obviously you're not a City fan. But when
I've had enough for City to last time, mate. I'll try not to watch it.
Well, when Kompany was leaving, there was a clip from the dressing room when he was saying, "Look, we've done everything else. Go and get the Champions League." And that's Kompany. So obviously it shows how much it means to the players. And I think in general around the club now, I reckon at top level they'd 100% give the Premier League the Champions League now. So I think that's the one that everyone wants more.
And I think with the Scousers, they've just won 6. They want the Premier League, mate. Yeah. They want that more than anything. Do you know what I mean? So they're going to go for that. And, you saw how close it was last season. VAR is going to throw a big sort of spanner in the works. I don't know if that's going to hurt you or help you. I think
it'll help us. We didn't get many penalties last season.
I think people are looking at the likes of Mo Salah and saying, is he going to get the sort of decisions that he got, all the rest of it. So it's paper thin. If I had to choose who I think will do it, obviously not who I want it. I want United to win the league, but that ain't realistic going to happen. I think it's probably going to be 3 in a row for City, but it wouldn't surprise me if the Scousers manage to do it because this is sort of what they're geared towards.
We're fighting the good fight. We're fighting the good fight.
Well, yeah, you sort of did it last season. I mean, last season it was a case of either City win the quadruple at one point or the Scousers win the Champions League.
I remember your pain quite clearly.
Oh, mate, it was horrible. I was almost a Spurs fan towards the end of the season, but they let me down. So hopefully this season we'll have a bit more to sing about. And it couldn't have got much worse, really, in terms of being a United fan. We didn't get Champions League. You lot won the domestic treble, and the Scousers won the Champions League. It was horrible.
It was pretty good for me. I'm not going to lie. Jay, thank you so much for coming on this channel, guys. If you are new, Jay's work, he's over on the Full Time Devils. So if you're that way inclined, go and give them a subscribe. Obviously, there'll be a link on screen right now. I want to say, as ever, thank you for all you guys watching this video. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, like, comment, and there'll be more videos soon with other Opposition fans. For now, though, see you in a bit.